what's my favorite one that I like to do? Well, I am one of my favorite programs. It's actually something that might be a little bit, or might seem a little bit boring, but to me it's really interesting. It's acing your state writing assessments and beyond. And so this is a program that I developed because I know that a lot of kids don't like taking writing tests for good reason, because they can be kind of boring. But I took some of the things like from the rubrics of the state tests, and I looked at them, and I created fun writing activities that applied to the same standards, but that might be a little more interesting in order to get kids to practice that. So I have Acing Your State Writing Assessments, personal narrative science tested on a lot. I also have writing from prompts, and a program called Undercover Test Taker, which kind of goes into the structure of testing and rubrics and how to best apply that. So I actually have quite a few programs about testing, something that would be otherwise maybe quite boring, but that I try to make really fun and interesting. So that's one of my favorites, probably. Okay, well, thank you for that wonderful question. And do we have one last search? Anything you'd like to put in to the programs tonight?
Why don't you search persuasive writing?
Persuasive writing. Good idea. Persuasive writing. Put a search for that in. And we get, again, I'm sorry, my programs are up at the top. Persuasive writing with Adora for 5th to 9th graders. State writing tests made easy overview. Writing dynamic essay made easy. Writing from prompts made easy. Yeah. So those are some of the different things you see available. Now, in general, if you search for a topic, now I think that the reason my programs often take up the majority for writing, if you search writing, my programs, there will probably be at least one of my programs there, because writing was something that hadn't otherwise been, there weren't a whole lot of programs for writing, and then I introduced some new ones. But if you search for something like science or math, then you'll find a lot of different, a big variety. So that's one of the cool things about CILC, is that you get a big variety of different content providers. And so that is an area that you can explore to find content for your classroom. So as a result of my teaching, I do quite a bit of traveling. I managed to cut down a bit by using video conferencing, but I still have traveled to England, France, Italy, China, Vietnam, Canada, and 21 states, including Indiana. I just got back from Indiana, as a matter of fact. And so that is my newest kind of acquisition on the list of states I've been to. I'll do a kind of a quick highlight of the different places. Well, I am in Washington right now. This is where I live. I was born in Oregon. I've been there many times. Also California, Nevada, Arizona. Not been to New Mexico, although I should sometimes. Texas, Florida, Georgia, Virginia, New Jersey, I believe. Yeah. My dad says that I was technically in Delaware, but I'm not so sure about that one. So New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, many times as well. Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. Yeah, you get the picture. And different areas I've been to. Now I'm still hoping to go to Nebraska for not a particularly good reason. I just have always wanted to go to Nebraska because I think it sounds cool. Yeah, so those are some of the places I've been to. But today I used new technology like video conferencing and webcasting to reach students in places as diverse as Costa Rica, Dubai, and Canada. So instead of having to jet off to these different places, I'm able to just connect right here. And the cool thing is that I'm able to just be in the basement of my house and make connections with teachers and make connections all around the world for many different purposes. So my programs, I try to develop them with live writing demonstrations, because I found that collaborating with kids, even when it's across video conferencing, we can create some really meaningful work. And then also interactive activities, storytelling. My social studies workshops teach kids and teachers how to use writing as a creative learning tool across disciplines. I actually have a series of programs called Right to Learn Women's Suffrage, Right to Learn Child Labor, in which we learn about historical concepts. So for instance, women's suffrage or child labor, and then we do a writing activity to help cement that information. So I try to provide kids with a tangible and exciting example of where writing can take them. All of my presentations center around a common goal, and that's to show kids that writing is fun, empowering, and exciting. Because too many times I've seen kids who say, I don't like writing or I don't like reading, it's boring, and I try to defuse that idea. Distance learning programs. So some of my programs include descriptive writing, poetry, writing inspirations, persuasive writing, acing your state tests, Kids Guide to U.S. Government, book reviews made easy, flying fingers. So to see a full list, you can always go to CILC.org and search adorasvitak. Now, I wanted to show you sample pages from some of my presentations to give you an idea of some of the different things that I do. So the first is on personal narrative writing and the second is on child labor. So with personal narrative, I was drawing a connection between how the stories that you read, just fictional narratives, and your own stories from your own life, personal narratives, how you can draw connections between this. So I talk about how in a fictional narrative, there's usually a conflict and an obstacle, and I say that we face conflicts and obstacles every day. So using my revealer tool, which I draw down, I might ask, what are some conflicts and obstacles you have faced? Now, maybe they might have a little bit of difficulty with that, so I brought down some more. So for example, deciding what to wear, arguing with a friend, running to catch a bus, taking a test, learning how to cook, trying to concentrate. What are some others you can come up with? And then they contribute theirs, and we talk about how this could be made into a personal narrative, and how, like a fictional narrative, good, suspenseful stories will often have conflict. Oops. And then this one, are you a child laborer? So this one is a presentation on child labor. I talk about child labor in the past, child labor as well today internationally. And so for this one, I ask them, are you a child laborer? Most of us have to do chores at home. Do you do chores at home? Tell us what some of those chores are. Do you consider yourself a child laborer or not? What was really interesting was that I asked, are you a child laborer? And all the kids raised their hands saying, yes, I'm a child laborer. And I was like, okay, well to figure that out, I asked you a few questions. Since you are in school, and you are probably not involved in hazardous or dangerous activity that prohibits your attendance of school thereof, then you are not child labor. And they're like, we thought school was child labor. Well, apparently it's not, although that, I guess it depends on the school. Probably with your schools, I don't know if it's child labor. So, as you might notice, there's lots of interesting visuals, like clip art that I was trying to show. And I love to use relevant art to get kids excited about my presentations. I also use a variety of other fun tools, like the revealer, which you can actually drag from either side, magic ink, drawing shapes, for different purposes, and I can make screen recordings. There are lots of different fun multimedia tools that I can use to try to get kids excited in the content material. Ultimately, I also ask kids lots of questions in my presentations. So I think that it's important not to just focus on the technology that makes it easier, but also to use teaching